to conclude that the overall flux across the loop should be 0, so the integral turns out to be 0. But what about 1 over z cubed? Of course, we can consider its Pauli a vector field, and by symmetry this would be 0 again, but is there a more general way to do it? Consider instead a field which is a superposition of a source field, which can be thought of as a copy of 1 over z, like what we saw before, just translated. On the other side, we have the opposite of a source, so we call it a sink. And this is a copy of negative 1 over z, again translated. If we bring these together, while doing the appropriate scaling, we should get the vector field of 1 over z squared. How does this help? Well, let's revert back to the source and sink separated. We now try to integrate along a large closed loop enclosing both the source and sink, and we'll deform this loop, which means we consider this loop instead. Again, the integral along this loop will be the same as that on the original loop, because it encloses the source and sink together anti-clockwise. Not too surprisingly, these two circular loops would give exact opposite values, and so they cancel out each other. And for the link between them, the overall effect is just going back and forth, and so the integrals would again cancel out each other. So the integral along the original contour would be 0,